Ladies and gentlemen, could you please put your hands together for your hosts for the evening, Will O'Callaghan and Valerie Wheeler, and also two imports, two stars of the Hurling Pod, Paul Murphy, four-time All-Ireland winner, and James Skehill, All-Ireland winning goalkeeper.
A very good evening, Limerick. Welcome along to Dolan's. Here with thanks to Guinness 00, our roadshow. We've brought the Hurling Pod along with us. Valerie, welcome to the team.
Thanks, lads. I feel like I'm crashing it a small bit. I'm surprised they left a woman here.
We've decided to bring James Skehill, first of all, into enemy territory, given he was part of the 2017 Galway team that won the All-Ireland, and then the team that lost to Limerick 12 months later. And he's worn maroon.
Yeah, I'm wearing my colours in enemy territory.
And then, even more so, if you want some kind of comical booze here, we brought a four-time All-Ireland winner and four-time All-Star in Paul Murphy, who was also part of the last team to beat Limerick in the Championship in 2019 in the semi-final.
Yeah, that was a handy enough win that evening. One pulling up, I think. Something about a sideline at the end, I can't remember it now. But I bumped into... it's not so long ago since I bumped into a few of the hurlers. We're actually away in January there, I think it was. Just after I got married, we went away for a few days. And we went over to Andorra. I think fucking half the country nearly went to Andorra at the start of January there. But when we were there, we arrived, myself, Conor Fogarty and Walter Welch with our partners went. And myself and Conor Fogarty were in a bar the first evening. And over came some lad. Do you know Sean Finn and Gerard Hegarty are here? And I was like, no, but like, what do you want me to do with that, like, you know? And so this seemed to be like, we were kind of going, grand, no bother. And it kept going. Like every place we went to, lads were going, do you know Sean Finn and Gerard Hegarty are here? And they meant like on the side of the mountain, not like they're in this bar here, you know. But if you want any proof to how good Sean Finn is at sweeping up, like we all know how good he is as a player and sweeping up ball in the back line. The first day we went out skiing, Walter Welch lost his phone. And we only realised we were skiing for about 3 hours. He could have lost it anywhere, and there was thousands of people like skiing, you know. And we got back to some bar and we're like, Walter, I'm not going to find that. Like, there's no way I'm going to find it. So I pulled out my phone, and one of the boys, Gerard, who's actually from Clare, he's living in Kilkenny, texted me and said, I'm after been handed Walter Welch's phone in one of the ski lodges. I said, Jesus Christ, I'll call over and meet you. So we all went over and met him. And he said, geez, how did you find that? Like, the chances here, like, of French people and German people and everything here, how did you manage to find it? He said, I didn't find it. Open up the phone and see who found it. And the background was Sean Finn drinking a pint. A selfie of Sean Finn. So if you ever want proof of how good Sean Finn is picking up after an inter-county hurler, that's your proof. But we were just saying, we never met him. We didn't meet him and Gerard Hegarty the whole time. We just said the chances of Walter Welch dropping his phone and the one fella to pick it up is Sean Finn. You can't.
Brilliant.
So it bodes well for Limerick for the weekend anyway.
James, as a Galway man, how are you feeling in Limerick tonight? Do you feel safe?
Oh, I feel very safe. I'm well used to Limerick territory. I went to college down here, so I know these streets as well as most. But I said I wear my colours. I was packing the shirt this morning, and the wife says to me, are you sure you want to wear that shirt? And I said, I'll go in, chest out. And I think I'm slightly outnumbered here, although I know I seen our Dragon girl down there. Carol, how are you? So I used to have one bit of backup.
Speaking of chest out, I know that a picture went round recently of the Limerick hurlers. I'm sure everyone has seen it at this stage. We have it. Lads, what do you think? James, yourself, what kind of condition are they in?
Jeez, Nicky's making me feel bad there now. I've never seen a six-pack in a goalie until now. Look, they're in supreme shape. Oh,
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
That's a four-pack though. Oh, lad. So actually, I did that thing right because Matty Kinney, the current Dublin manager, we were on the beer one day, and obviously it was in the winter months, and he said, look, James, he goes, we need to have a chat about your size. You're definitely the fattest goalie in Ireland. So he said, do something about it. Here we are.
Fair play.
Were you in the gym with the Galway sub-goalkeeper for this?
So Colin Cannon was the goalie, and he was starting out this, it was a programme, it was called the Amazing 12 at the time, and he was trying to get a bit of traction on the gym, so he said he needed someone to do it that would probably be known, put it that way to you. So the fucker didn't tell me how hard it was going to be. He said, there'll be no problem. He said, just a couple of gym sessions a week, you can come and use my gym, it'll be all be grand. It was 6 o'clock gym sessions, 5 mornings a week, with 2 running sessions on top of the Galway training. And I could only eat fish and green vegetables. He's lucky I'm talking to him to this day, I tell you.
Did he tell you about the spray tan?
Oh, would you believe, to see the... Valerie?
I just had to point it out. There is a spray tan there if you can't see it.
There's a filter as well. There's definitely a filter
Yeah,
there
definitely
somewhere.
a filter.
And the trouble is, we only had enough tan for the front. We ran out in the back. Yeah, good times.
Did you think this is going to come back and haunt you tonight?
Well, I was coming down and we were chatting away about what's, are there any good stories to put away? And I've a million stories, and I don't think I can tell 9/10 of them because they're, let's say, they involve the law or they involve alcohol or something. And Will said we have a couple of surprises, and I thought, they won't do it to me, and he did it to me.
How much of a transformation was that for you, considering, like, I presume when you were playing rugby, did you slim down a bit to playing goal initially and then bulk up a bit again there?
Yeah, so when I was 18, I was playing minors, obviously minors under 18 that time, and I was playing with the Bucks in AIL, let's say, under 20s, under 18s, excuse me. And so I was playing the back row, so it was tricky to get up in the weight for the back row, hitting probably 18, 19 stone, which was what I was using for that rugby weight, and then to get back down to get to 15 stone. So on that time, like I was just telling Murph on the way over, like I was pushing some weight, but we played a league game and Patrick Horgan took a penalty on me and it dribbled in, but I couldn't get down to it. You know, it was like getting down 20 feet to the ball. I was just so muscle bound and too slow. So Cunningham says to me at the time, then stop, that's no more weights for you, or else you're going to be on a J1 for the summer.
Right, so Cunningham is what, your second manager at Galway? You had Lucknan before that.
How many fingers do I have?
Yeah, you had a few.
Lucknan was first, McIntyre was second,
Oh yeah.
AC was third, Michael fourth, Shane fifth. Out to Graston after that.
Who's
Went
AC?
through a few. You only removed one.
I went through a few, but it's amazing because when I was, what sticks in your brain, like I can't remember the last 10 years of my career, you know, it didn't stick with me, but by God do I remember all the times with Charlotte Mann, you know, a young, impressionable 18-year-old thinking this man was a semi-god, you know, and then when he sees the type of training he put us through, like, you know, obviously Kilkenny were in the peak of their powers at that time, and I think he got a brainwave that we need to do something different now, you know, in order to take over Kilkenny. So he instructed the Galway secretary to buy 2 baseball machines, right? The machines that shoot out the balls. So this was a fabulous idea, and at the time I said, yeah, this is definitely it. These baseball machines are going to make us beat Kilkenny, you know what I mean? So the first day they introduced, Sean Tracy was there, and Louis McQueen, and they were tinkering with this thing out in the middle of the pitch, and I don't know what they were going to do with it, but they were shooting the balls up in the sky, and they were going like much faster than a person would strike the ball, put it that way to you. So they said, right, lads, line up there, 21-yard line, we're going to shoot the ball into you just above head height, you have to catch it, turn and score. Goalies inclusive. So we're all trying to make an impression. So Eugene Clune was up first, and we're all lined up in a straight line, and next thing Sean Tracy just goes, the ball shoots out, Eugene runs out, and it hits his hand, and he just turns around, he goes to this, like that. And ever that just starts backing up like this. No, not doing that anymore. And then on the same evening we said, right, so that drill got cancelled because of the, let's just say the success rate was low. So then Sean Tracy goes, right, we'll put it on the 21 and we'll turn it up and see what the goalies are like. This is the time of no helmets now. So I'm just waiting for the ball, right? And Colm Cannon, I'm waiting to go in, and Colm Cannon's in there, and again, no helmets. And he goes, right, Sean, ready when you are. And Sean goes, Colm, the ball is in the net. No way, Sean. I said, I'll retire this minute at 18, I'm 19. I'm out of here if that's the case. So that was just one of the stories of Gerald Glenn's time.
We'll see if Joe Quaid was willing to step in front of them. Like, to me, that sounds more like Happy Gilmore rather than actual training. If anyone has seen that movie where he has to stand in front of it and gets hit in the head with the ball.
Madness. It was like it was
especially with sliders.
But then we were training on a horse track as well. You know, like I'm fond of the horses, don't get me wrong, but I'm not that fond of them.
Why
like,
are we on a horse track?
So we were in Tober in County Clare, and there was a sand arena and like a horse track, like, you know. And like it was in the middle of November, and you're walking to stables, and you can just see the horses going. These poor gobblers, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking out the stables, freezing cold, right? And I was running, I'll never forget, John Lee. John Lee he epitomises a city person. You know, he knows nothing about the country. All he can see is Galway City. Once he goes beyond Northernmore, that's, you know, foreign country. So he used to wear these earphones because he had to wear them because he couldn't concentrate on the running, or else he'd, you know, he'd lose his mind basically. But he was running along one day and he was probably holding up the show a small bit, and look, Nan just roars to him, like, again, John being the city man, he said, Lee, will you run, you big fat Shirley? Like, the cow, like, you know. Lee pulls out, what the fuck is a Shirley, he said. I just said, keep going, John, keep going. We don't want attention around us here. But, and then there was another case whereby there was a massive 35 and a land leveller. So if we weren't going fast enough around the arena, look, Nan would say, start the leveller, he'd say, and the tractor is coming after us. You know. And I'm like, this is what inter-county hurling is it? I should have stayed at the rugby.
Paul, I'm sure you have no stories of Cody like that making you do things.
Yeah, no, like we wouldn't have much, like we didn't do anything crazy now out of running horse tracks and stuff like that, but like, you know, often we would have said that it was really just what we were doing in the pitch in terms of training and stuff, but like there was, like even thinking about it during the week, because obviously we were talking about, you know, what memories do you have of training and stuff, but like obviously the two ones I would have of Brian in terms of what intensity was expected of us. The first one was myself and Colin Fennelly were in 2011, was our first year on the panel, you know, kind of establishing ourselves, and we were going towards grabbing a jersey, like, and Colin was in corner forward obviously, but I remember this training session, I was corner back, Noel Hickey was full back, and then Jackie was in the left corner, and like, you know, you just follow Noel's lead, just absolutely clean in front of you and go out and hurl away. But Colin got a ball and he just turned for goal and he stuck it over the bar and kind of, you know, I suppose got the extra yard on Jackie, like, you know, and Jackie didn't like that, and you could see Jackie, you know, he'd grit the teeth once, you do it once but you won't do it again. So next thing, Colin got a ball again, turned, it went in past Jackie, and Jackie, he was going past him, and Jackie just turned the hurl sideways and just swung. Now wherever he connected I don't know, but he busted Colin, and Colin kind of hit the deck, and Brian goes, Jackie, don't do it, Colin, get used to it. And we kind of just, that was it, like lads just got up and went down with it. But and not to be like, Jackie was obviously a savagely skillful player, like, but there was obviously like we had like, you'd have your crack in the dressing room and stuff, but we Martin Fogarty was another great man, like, who was in our dressing room, selector with Brian, like, and he was so quick-witted, like. But one of the nights we were coming in off the pitch in Nolan Park, and again it was around 2014 or something like that, but Jackie couldn't find his helmet, like it's black micro, nearly every lad had a black helmet at the time, couldn't find it. Martin Fogarty came into the dressing room and he was like, lads, will you just check your bags there? Jackie's after losing the helmet there. It's a black micro and has Richie Hogan's blood all over it there. So that was kind of, we never did anything too elaborate, like, you know, but it was definitely what we were doing was savagely intense, like.
What's Cody like in a week like this? Even thinking back to maybe 2019, where you guys were like massive underdogs coming into that game against Limerick, and then you put in, you know, a generational performance, even for all that Kilkenny have succeeded with. That first half performance particularly is as well as you've probably hurled under Cody. What's he like in a week like this, ratcheting up maybe that intensity ahead of a big game?
Yeah, like I think a lot of players feed off Brian and that. Like he loves this kind of a week, and he loves the kind of the challenge of it. His hunger for it, I don't think anyone really has a grasp of it in terms of, you know, just how hungry he is. I mean, he's at it how many years? 21, 22 years now. But like the week of that match, certainly, like, he's great at reading the room in terms of knowing what players. One player might be playing his first All-Ireland semi-final, another player might be playing his 10th one. So he's excellent at reading what to say to what players. But what he's really good at, I suppose, is laying down exactly where the team are, like in terms of what faces you. Like, he's a great speaker, and what he does do really well is that when you have those team meetings, and I think that's something that you could never explain to someone in a dressing room or outside when people ask you what he's like, exactly how much he hits the nail on the head the week of a match. Like, you'd hear a pin drop often, we'd have a team meeting, and Brian would just talk very plainly, and what you see on the sideline isn't necessarily what you see in the team meeting. He's a great way with words, but when you leave a team meeting after they name the team or whatever, and lads are disappointed and lads are delighted and different things, Brian is invariably after hitting the nail on the head, which is a huge thing. So I remember leaving the Friday before we played, or maybe it was the Thursday, I can't remember, after we played Limerick, it was a Saturday evening. But before playing, I remember saying there's probably only about 30 lads that actually think we have a chance of beating this Limerick team. And part of that was down to, what we did in training and the belief we had, but Brian maximising what he had and the team in front of him. So like the week like this now, he'll be just tunnel vision in terms of the challenge in front of him, and he'll love it. He'll love facing Clare. Clare probably tipped a little bit more than Kilkenny, but he just thinks Crow Park All-Ireland semi-final, this is where you want to be, like. So it's just, I'd say it's like a duck to water to him this week, really.
What's it like getting maybe a phone call from him and maybe having the one-on-one chats with him? Are people afraid of him? What do you think of the new young lads on the team? Would you think they'd be afraid of him?
I tell you, like, well, the KGB could, they could draft him there anyway because he's great at interrogating lads. Like, he has a way about him. He just plays it right down the middle. He doesn't play any expression, like, and I think you kind of have to have 1 or 2 meetings with him first, because we did have meetings, like, let's say during the years and stuff. And there's a line between yourself and Brian, like, it's not like you hear with other managers where they're obviously, and it's great, like, John Kiley seems to be, authoritarian, but he seems to have
kind of a professional distance, Paul? I
think it is. I think that's just the way Brian felt it over the years, how he's going to manage it. But you'd have a meeting with him. I remember the first meeting I had. I kind of went in and I was like, I'll tell him what I think he wants to hear. But that's, as you figure out after a while, that's not the way to deal with Brian. And the time that I felt the best meeting I would have ever had with Brian was after the Leinster final the league final in 2011. I was brought on for the last 10 minutes. Felt I was going really well in training. They'd brought me on. They'd started me against Wexford in the league. Felt I did the job I was asked to do, but yet I wasn't starting in the league. I wasn't starting whatever. So I went in basically fairly pissed off into the meeting. I just said to Brian, I was like, well, like, I'm doing what you're expecting me to do, but you were starting other lads instead of me. And like, suddenly I think Brian was saying, this is what I want. Like, this is the person I want in front of me.
Stand up to him.
Yeah, not even stand up, but like, that you're basically the person who goes in and says, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do whatever. Like that, there's a little bit of bullshit involved in that. But I think when you go in and you say, Brian, well, look, I'm training this way. I'm out in front of my man. I'm hurling away. But you're starting this, lad. You give me 10 minutes towards the end of a league final. What do you want the fella to do when we're 9 points down? So I think he was kind of going like, this is the reaction I'm looking for, So Brian is very straight up. And I think if you stay at it and you stay kind of, I suppose, plugging away, eventually he'll come to the stage where he kind of tears that away and you have a meeting with him and you just talk very frankly, and that's what he's looking for. He's looking for a genuine kind of response to gauge where you are, really.
Yeah, we're delighted to be here tonight in Limerick with thanks to Guinness 00. 100% Guinness, 0% alcohol, more social occasions off the GA pitch are there for the taking. We've got a brilliant night lined up. We're going to have Podge Collins, Jamie Walvis a bit later on. We're also going to be talking to your own with Joe Quaid and with Fiona Hickey in a little bit. Was Micheál Donoghue the best Galway manager you worked with then?
He was, yeah. Because like, in terms of management, and I can understand what Murph was saying, like there's a professional distance that managers keep from players. If you get too close, you can nearly be accused of being a friend, and then you can say the professional side of things gets jeopardised somewhat. But Micheál was very good at and I'll come back to this now, but Joe Smith gave us a talk before, and he said that if you're happy off the pitch, you'll be good on the pitch. So if everything around your life is going well, whether it be personal relationships, children, job, education through college, etc., he said 9 times out of 10 that'll translate into you being able to maximise your performance on the pitch. Micheál was brilliant at that. He was brilliant at doing that from number one. Not just the players, but even the people around him, the kit man, bus driver, everyone was at the top of the game at the time Micheál was over us. And even for me, like I had great battles with Colin over the years. The two of us would be neck and neck. I'd often feel like I should be in goals. Colin would be the same way. But Micheál had this way of just keeping the two of us going at each other to produce the best we could produce, And he did that for everyone. I always felt with Micheál there was no favourites. Whereas with some other managers, you would always say, that guy has 2 or 3 favourites regardless of their performance. So to answer your question, Micheál was the best. And that translated to Northern Ireland. And I won't say a regret, but definitely be disappointed we didn't come away with more. I do feel that if Micheál got better resourcing, we should have got 2 if not 3.
Because it wasn't an easy time for him to come in. Because we've spoken with this in the pod before, but it's like you guys were very clear that you wanted to change at the time that Andy Cunningham left. That there was a majority within the panel that felt the change was going to be required if you were going to go over the line. Because you'd had a few near misses in the 5 years before the switch over management happened. There was pressure both on the panel and on Micheál to come in and pretty much deliver straight away. Because if not, you would have been known as the rebellious panel who didn't deliver on ousting a manager.
Yeah, and that was a difficult time now for everyone because I suppose you have an awful lot of traditionalists in hurling and in football too that will say players play, managers manage, and leave it at that. Players shouldn't be getting involved in, I won't say decision making, but even impacting a decision like that. But at the time we got to the final in 15 against Murph, proud to say, we were up at half time. Jackie gave a great speech, seemingly, let's say. We thought we were in a good position, and these fucking devils came in cautious, but they won by a relatively comfortable margin in the end, right? But we felt that us as players got there. Do you know what I mean? And we said if we got more support and more structure in place, better structure, should I say, more professional structure, that we'd go to the next level. And so we decided as a group, it's time to move on. And that was a tough decision. We I suppose, from a case from the outsiders looking in, we were nearly cast aside because why are they doing this? This is not their forte, they shouldn't be at this, but we stuck with it. And the decision came, and he stepped down over a course of time. And we actually went to Boston that winter to play the Super 11s,
Yeah.
against Dublin. Ended in a mass brawl, right? Which was good, because we all came together. That journey, right? We went out by ourselves with the kit man, you know what I mean? Who we fucking love, Tex. When we came back, really, really bonded. So Michal came into a group. He said, "This is my group. No one's getting dropped. Let's go after it."
What sparks a brawl against Dublin then? Like, you're meant to be playing bloody Super 11s, having a bit of crack in Boston.
Tell you what, I blame the referee, right? Because
You actually cleaned the lad from about 100
hold on a
yards
second,
there.
hold on.
I remember the video of you coming in, like, it's the fastest I've ever seen you run in your life. Like, it's just a Dublin lad is there to be cleaned, and you decide you're going to break the
Lucky
speed
the
barrier.
pitch was short too, so I walked out of breath when I got there. It was a ruck. I got confused.
Went for the ball.
Myself and Andy Smith went for a walk around Boston, and then we meet the two refs, and we said, "Listen, what's good here? Like, how hard can we go? What's the rules? What are the public going to want?" And he goes, "The ref said, Americans, they love a bit of argy-bargy." And he said it to me and Andy Smith, who were probably the two worst fellows in the panel for aggression. Okay, so next thing, row kicks off, and I just said, "Fuck it." I said, I'm going for it. But one of the Dublin players had said something to me, right, that pissed me off in 2011 to beat us in Tullamore. And I said, "I'm going to get this fucker, all right?" And I was looking for him, right, but all the fucking helmets were the same colour, right? And his name, right, was R. So, and all the numbers were in alphabet. They translate alphabetically with the name. So I was saying, "Which fucker?" I'm running down and I'm going, "Which fucking one is he?" And I said, "All right, let's go." And then just cleared out some fella. Don't know who it was.
It probably wasn't our by the
It
sound.
wasn't him, and I got up, let's say, and I was tangling, and I get on well with Liam Rush, and I went, "Oh, Liam, I'm sorry," I said. And he goes, "I'm sorry too." And I walked away.
I love the way, with the week that's in it of, refs under scrutiny and different things and whatever, that you asked the ref, "What are the rules?" And he said, Americans. All right, yeah, sure.
But the crowd went crazy. But I blame the Americans, right? Because those pesky Americans, because they put on Dropkick Murphys. You know that song?
Yeah.
Shipping out to Boston. Fucking place was mad. Right? So we had to go after it and just, we gave them what they wanted. That's what I'd say. And they brought us back the following year.
Before we let you go, and we'll get you back up later. And speaking of trips, Paul, yourself, you went on a few All-Star trips and you met the likes of Declan Hannon there, and maybe a colleague of mine I'd hate to throw under the bus, but I'd love to anyway if you want to share.
Yeah, I was telling you about you during the week. It was my first All-Star trip, and we went to San Francisco 2011. And sure, I was 22 at the time, but Declan Hannon was on it. And he was a baby at the time. I think he was in Leaving Cert, And sure, himself and Louise, now his fiancée, were there. And I think both of them were 18. But Dolan O'Grady, obviously Limerick, I know we're in Limerick, but you have to clear it's Dolan O'Grady, Limerick. He had this story that he absolutely loved telling, so I'll give him the copyright on that one. Basically, at the All-Stars that year, Declan Hannon was up for Young Hurler of the Year. So again, they arrived on the night, himself and Louise, and sure, they were basically there was lads coming at him from all angles, there were footballers, no other way to be now, there's hurlers, and you'd actually find it hard to even catch some lads' names. But Louise was sitting at a table anyway, and she kind of went, she was struggling to catch a few lads' names, so she turned to Dolan O'Grady, was like, "Jesus, I feel bad here, I don't know his name, or I don't know his name." And Dolan O'Grady said, "Listen, best way to do here now is ask him his name. And when he says his name, say, 'Fuck it, I didn't know you without the helmet.' It says bulletproof for hurlers, So she was like, "Jesus, that's fucking great. Yeah, brilliant." So she was sitting there anyway. And next thing, who sits down beside her? Only Joe McMahon at Tyrone cornerback. So she was there going, "Mad for Road, yeah. Shall I talk to this fellow?" I said, "Well, how are you getting that?" "Sorry, what's your name?" He goes, "Joe McMahon, Tyrone." "Fuck it, Joe, I didn't know you without the helmet there." And I'm not joking now, when we were in San Francisco, Dolan O'Grady was walking around the group, sitting in with lads going, "Here lads, do you hear this one with the All-Star?"
Poor Louise. We did want to make sure the story was true.
I had to check with it during the week, because I said, "Fuck, that's 11 years ago now." So I sent Valerie a voice note during the week. I said, "Listen, will you pass this on to Louise?" I haven't talked to her since that trip, so I said, in my mind now I could have added legs to that, but it turns out that's exactly how it happened. So
No, she said she was the worst wag ever. So
I think Dolan O'Grady's still telling the story. He thinks it's the best one going.
It's classic Louise anyway.
I trust you entirely. Two lads from the Hurling Pod, James Skehill, Paul Murphy, they're going to be back up a little later on to look forward to the semi-finals. Lads, for now, thanks a million for joining us on stage. Put your hands together for the two boys.